Hello, JTO556 here, and today we are going to be building a breeze/trial spawner farm. So the first thing that you're going to need to do to follow along today is find yourself a breeze spawner. Now, these can only be found in the new trial chambers, and oftentimes can be found near other spawners, which is something that we're going to look at later in the video. Now, your very first thing that you're going to want to do is mark off the 9x9 diamond within which the trial spawner can spawn mobs. So it can spawn mobs in 4 blocks on either side of it, on any side of it rather, and 1 block above or 1 block below. So to start things off, what we're going to be doing is filling in this entire area except for 1 row heading out from the trial spawner. And it doesn't matter which direction you do this in, it can be totally up to your choice. It will have no impact whatsoever on the farm at all. So now that we've filled in this entire area around, we're going to do the same thing on 1 more layer. Everything except for this 1 row that you've chosen. Now your farm should look like this. So we're going to take 1 extra block, go up above the trial spawner, and we're just going to fill in this rectangle here. And this is so that nothing can escape when breezes start spawning in. They can push each other into solid blocks. Now we're actually going to remove these 5 blocks here. And we're going to take a line of hoppers, 2, 3, 4, hopper into that block, and then we're going to lead a line of hoppers all the way across here, and including underneath our trial spawner. And you can go ahead and break that hopper at the very end there. Now, what this is going to do is let us collect all of the drops from the trial spawner, including the trial keys which come out the top. Now, this is because the trial spawner is actually just under a full block. This means that a hopper can collect the item that shoots out of the top of it before that item gets pushed around by colliding with the solid blocks above it. Next, we're going to take a glass block and we're going to put it right there, and then a solid block and put it right there. Now, we have our AFK spot already started. What we're going to do here is break this block, or rather this block, and you should see it should be 2 blocks out and 1 block to your left. Now we're going to take a dispenser, and in that block that you just broke, you're going to place the dispenser and put a lava bucket inside. Now this is going to be for automatic kill mode. This isn't going to give you any breeze rods because breeze rods only drop on player kills, but this would allow you to AFK and collect trial keys. Now that we've got that in there, we can take 1 more solid block and place it right here, which is where you can see is the last block in that spawn radius. So we want to block off right here. And then on top of that, you're going to place 1 glass block. The glass blocks here are because the trial spawner needs line of sight to the player in order to spawn mobs. So when we're running this farm, we're actually going to be AFKing right here on top of this hopper. Next up, we're actually going to be installing our sorting system. Now, if you don't care about sorting out the items, then you can just skip right on over this part. The first thing you want to do is place 3 hoppers facing into nothing directly underneath your final 3 hoppers here. Then, and if you want, you can place glass blocks, for example. Then, we're going to place our chests. And in this case, we're only going to sort out 3 different item types. We're going to sort out our trial keys, our ominous trial keys, and our breeze rods. Then we're going to take 3 more hoppers and place them leading into our 3 chests. And we're going to take a dropper and we're going to place it pointing downwards at the end of our hopper line. So you should see the square at the bottom. Next, we're going to take a ring of any block you want. I'm going to use glass. And we're going to build just a little 1x1 container here. And inside this container, we're going to put a bucket of lava that is fully contained. And this is just going to destroy anything that doesn't go into one of our 3 filters. Now, in order to build these filters, we're going to take 3 solid blocks, and then on top of those, we're going to put 3 comparators, pulling from the hoppers that face into our glass blocks here, not the ones into the chests. Then we're going to take 3 more solid blocks and place them on the ends of these comparators. 3 glass blocks, and then 3 solid blocks diagonally down from our glass blocks. Next, we're going to go down and to the left again, 3 solid blocks. And these could actually be glass as well. These could be transparent. They don't need to be solid. On top of these, we're going to place 3 repeaters, all in one tick. Then, on our solid blocks, we're going to place 3 redstone torches. And finally, to top everything off, we are going to do redstone dust all along the top. Now, it's very important that these middle ones are glass, so that these redstone torches don't power this dust here. Now, if your filters are built correctly, your 3 hoppers leading into the chests should be locked. So if you take an item and you stick it into your hopper there, it should just stay. Now, for setting up the filters themselves, the first thing we're going to do is breeze rods. We're going to put 41 breeze rods in the first slot, and then 1 stick in each of the following slots. Now, this is your standard item filter layout. Any more breeze rods that flow in are going to bump this number up, which is going to, in turn, increase the signal output by the comparator, turn off this torch, and unlock our hopper, allowing items to go in. And then it'll relock once the number of items drops back down to 41. Now, for our next 2 filters, we're going to do something a little bit different. And what we're about to do would be very unreliable in the majority of circumstances, but for our case, it's going to work just fine. So we're going to go into here, and instead of just placing 4 filter items, we're going to actually want 39 in here. Now, this means that we are only 1, 2, 3 items away from the point where this signal strength is going to get pushed over to unlock this hopper. So we're going to go into our final hopper, and we're going to do the same thing. 3 ominous trial keys, and then 39 of our filter items. So, like I said, just remember, guys, don't do this in general, but in our case, since we're only ever getting 1 at a time, it is perfectly okay to do things this way. Now that we have our item filters set up, we're going to want to set up our auto dropper. Now, all that means is that anytime an item enters this dropper, we want it to immediately get spit back out. So to do this, it's going to be relatively simple. We're going to take a comparator reading from here. We're going to want a piston facing upwards. We want a solid block on top of there. And then we're going to put a redstone dust, an observer facing into that dust, and then another observer facing this way. So as you can see here, all that happens is now anytime a item enters this dropper, piston's going to extend, putting this observer facing this one, they're going to clock, activating this dust, which is going to indirectly power this dropper and shoot our items into the lava. And we want to do this just so that we're not picking up all the junk like the baked potatoes or potions of swiftness that this thing is going to shoot out, right? So, and you can do this any way you want to. If you don't like observer clocks, I'm with you, but sometimes nice and easy is the way to go. Now that we've got all of our item collection and disposal taken care of, we want to find a way to make our AFK mode and our breeze killing mode automatic. Now, if you recall, we put a lava bucket in a dispenser right here at the beginning of this tutorial. So we're actually going to want to break this glass block, and we're going to put it right here. Then we're going to go out 1, 2 blocks, break that block, and we're going to put a sticky piston facing this way right here. Next, we're going to take an observer and have it watching this empty space right here. From there, we want a solid block, and then this block could be either solid or glass. It does not matter. On top of that, we want a repeater facing sideways into this block, which is covering up our dispenser right here. And then we want a piece of redstone dust being powered by the observer. Now, anytime this glass block moves back and forth, this observer is going to send a pulse and flip the state of this dispenser, meaning that when this piston is powered, the lava is going to shoot out, and when the piston depowers, the lava is going to get picked up. Now, to power the piston on and off, we're going to keep it nice and simple. So we close the glass. Now we're in AFK mode. The breeze are entirely trapped within there. It cannot hit us, and we are all good to go. If we want to collect breeze rods, we simply open it back up, and we can swing away with our sword. Now that our entire farm is built, we can talk about rates. Looting 3 is going to have a massive impact on what drops you get from this farm. Assuming standard trials and not ominous, with Looting 3 you can expect just over half a stack of breeze rods per trial, meaning you'll get a little bit over a stack every single hour. Without Looting 3, however, you are only going to get about a quarter of a stack, or just under 16 items, per hour. Obviously, that is a massive difference. I would not recommend using this farm without Looting 3 at all. As to our keys and ominous keys, every trial has a 50% chance of dropping a regular trial key, and every ominous trial has a 30% chance of dropping an ominous trial key. This means that you're going to get about 1 trial key per hour, and about 1 ominous trial key in about an hour and a half, plus an extra 10 to 15 minutes. Now, a major caveat to this farm is that oftentimes you are going to find multiple trial spawners in a given area. Now, I haven't seen any double breeze spawners, but that doesn't mean that these other mob spawners won't also be dropping trial keys, or in some cases ominous trial keys if you're drinking the bottles, and you'll want to collect those if they're in your radius. So in those instances, while I would still suggest this basic design around your breeze spawner so that you can get those breeze rods when you want them, you should build just this same 9x9 diamond around, but then you don't need any dispenser, you don't need any of this stuff, just put the lava in there and let them burn. You can then just put a hopper right underneath your trial spawner and collect all of your items. Now remember, you will still need line of sight to everything. This could be achieved with a minecart riding around if necessary, or maybe you'll be lucky and one's just going to be right here, and over there somewhere. Who knows? I can't make a design for every single possible layout ever, so you're just going to have to use your best judgment. If you plan to drink ominous bottles and do ominous trials, you can, of course, increase the rates of this farm by a lot. You are going to get more drops from breeze rods, and you're also going to be able to do up to 4 trials an hour. Once the regular trial is on cooldown, you can do an ominous trial and then repeat the process, and you should be able to do 4 trials in really just over an hour. Finally, if you plan to AFK and drink ominous bottles, using a macro or something to cycle, you are going to need a regen beacon. And I would say ideally regen plus resistance, because ominous trials can spawn projectiles. And these projectiles and include arrows as well as potions. They can do damage to you, and eventually they will cause your hunger bar to drain and cause you to die. So if you are AFKing, I would really mostly just recommend doing regular trials. It's a lot simpler that way. In any case, I think that is going to do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you later.